Welcome to the video, guys. As you all know, the small boats are floating over here daily with the help of the French and UK border forces, or farces as they should be known. They are a complete laughingstock and should be held to account for what is going on as much as the people sending these boats from France. Now, the media and politicians will call these migrant or refugee boats, which they are not in any sense of the word. They are criminal boats with illegal economic migrants on them that literally have no right to come here, as I've pointed out in previous videos. You might remember that is because the simple fact they came from Europe, namely France, on these little boats, not from Syria or Yemen. But as we all know, there is a reason the media and politicians on both sides of the political spectrum call these migrant boats and not illegal immigrant boats or criminal enterprises trying to get over here and milk the UK taxpayer for untold amounts of money. This is because the outrage that would follow when the average person, not active in political news cycles like we are, hears that our government and the border farce is picking up illegal immigrants in the channel and bringing them back here for free bed and board. And as we found out by what happened in Glasgow, they are also getting free mobile phones, broadband and the rest of it. You know, the things we have to work our asses for, and they are getting this all at our expense. Now, my viewers will know I've called out the government and Priti Patel over this a few times now and will continue to do so, much like today. Of course, it must be remembered that we are still under EU law and the Dublin Agreement, which makes sending these criminals back a pain in the arse, but it is not impossible. So while Priti Patel and the Home Office deserve some leeway because of that, there is a but, and it is a big one. And since these criminals travelled through Europe to France via at least a few safe countries, they can never be refugees and therefore have zero right to be here. Not that an economic migrant has a right to be here either, but if they entered illegally, they are still within the bounds of the law, unlike the customers of the border farce and its taxi service. We all know Nigel Farage has been calling out the government over this, but now it seems general members of the British public enjoying a leisurely cruise near the French coast have witnessed this shit show for themselves, including radio transmissions from UK border services tracking boats literally from the French coast to their pickup point midway in the channel, showing Priti Patel could do so much more even under the shit show that is the EU. Now all of this follows countless stories this week on record numbers arriving, as you can see on the screen here, which we will just go through quickly because there is a few articles here and most of the information is just a rehash of what we've gone over 100 times before. Hundreds of discarded migrant boats found at Dover warehouse. Hundreds of boats believed to have been used by migrants to cross the channel are being stored at a warehouse in Dover. Well, they are not actually believed to be these migrant boats, they actually are. The border force has confirmed they're keeping them there as evidence despite the fact they're out in the open, so I don't know what evidence you're going to be able to get off them after they've been sitting out there for any amount of time. And as we can see here from a couple of days later, channel migrants, 13 boats carrying 159 people intercepted. That was on the 22nd of July. 13 boats carrying more than 150 migrants were intercepted while attempting to cross the channel in a 6-hour period. So that is not even for the whole day, that is literally just for 6 hours. More than 3,000 migrants have reached the UK in about 230 small boats this year, according to BBC research. You mean according to Border Force numbers of how many they have brought over? What about the ones that made it over here and never got caught? I would expect that number could be closer to the 10,000 mark or more when you factor in the ones that have made it over here without being spotted either on the channel or on the beach. And here we have yet another BBC article from just a day later, the 23rd of July, so a couple of days ago now. Channel migrants, more small boats arrive at Dover. Of course they do, it is a daily taxi service by the border farce. Another 43 migrants in 4 small boats were intercepted at the English Channel off the Kent coast, the Home Office said. The boats were picked up between 7:40 and 12:15 BST on Wednesday, a Home Office spokesman said. And obviously there on Tuesday we just looked at the article that they are talking about there with 159 arriving at Dover in 6 hours. 2 men were on the first boat and presented themselves as Egyptian and Algerian nationals, the Home Office said. So, like I said, 2 people who have come through multiple safe countries to get here and therefore have no right to refugee status and certainly not allowed in as an economic migrant considering they have broke the law. On board the second boat, which was intercepted at about 10 AM, were 3 males who all said they were Sudanese, so the same applies to them, I am sorry to say. At around 10:55, a border force vessel intercepted a third vessel which was carrying 29 males and 5 females who presented themselves as Afghan, Egyptian, Iranian, Iraqi, Kuwaiti and Pakistani Army nationals, a Home Office spokesman said, so the same applies to all of them criminal fuckpigs also. Now, before we get into the article about the British leisure cruiser who spotted these boats floating around and also the radio transmissions, we have this article from Westminster about the migrant boats crossings and exactly what has been going on in relation to them coming over, so we'll skim over that before we get on with the proper article. Thursday saw more illegal migrant boat crossings as it now becomes a daily occurrence. I think you'll find it has become a daily occurrence for almost most of this year. It was the third day in a row this week that saw the crossings. There was a lengthy delay in the details being confirmed, with numbers only being released on Friday evening. And by the looks of what it says here, the numbers have not really been released to the full degree because nationalities are missing, genders and everything else is there. 8 boats carrying 86 migrants in total made it across to England in total on Thursday. Below is a breakdown via the Home Office. Great bit of writing there, guys, you might want to sort that out. Incident 1. At around 7:40 am, aboard a fast vessel intercepted a vessel which was carrying 13 males who presented themselves as Iranian, Yemeni and Syrian nationals. Incident 2. At around 7 am, aboard a fast vessel intercepted a vessel which was carrying 12 males. There is no nationality breakdown at this stage. Incident 3. At around 9:10 am, aboard a fast vessel intercepted a vessel which was carrying 10 people. We do not have gender nationality breakdowns at this stage, so realistically there's no point in reading through any of these because they don't even have any of the information. But here you can see 13 people, 20 people, 11 people, another 4 people and another 3 people there. So they're just happening all day. That is just Thursday's total. That is not even the entire week breakdown. I suppose the article would probably be a 40-minute read if you put them all on there, let's be honest. The Minister for Immigration Compliance talks a load of bollocks down here. I'm not going to go through that and put out their bullshit because we know it is complete and utter bullshit. The numbers would suggest as much if you asked me. But finally, we get to this Express article that's pointing out the French are doing nothing as the UK Coastguard do everything they can to help these migrant boats and bring them here when they should just be sending them back. It headlines, French do nothing as migrant boats head for Britain, UK scrambles helicopter and boat. A UK sailor has launched an angry attack on French coastal patrols, which he said did nothing after he reported a dinghy containing people-trafficked migrants launching from Boulogne in the direction of Kent. Hours before, it was revealed almost 200 people had made it across, which is something we just covered a moment ago. French authorities stood by while their UK counterparts scrambled a helicopter and lifeboat to rescue the terrified fuckpigs and bring them to Britain. Now, Mr Nelson has accused the French authorities of grave negligence, pointing out the massive risk to life such hazardous crossings of the English Channel posed. Never mind that, they shouldn't be fucking doing it, it's against the law. The leisure sailor, who was travelling south from the French coast on Saturday, said after about an hour at sea, he received a call on the radio telling him his boat was close to a dinghy containing about 50 migrants. Which means the French Coast Guard should have been over there dragging it back to shore and arresting every single one of them, but obviously we know they don't do that because the UK Coast Guard will just pick them up, as we and obviously the French know. Boats and ships make use of satellite navigation called automatic identification systems to keep track of other vessels at sea, Mr Nelson explained. He told the Express.co.uk they obviously had some sort of report that a boat had been launched. They then looked on their radar and they've seen a British boat, which was us, so they called us. So we were aware that a boat had been launched close to us, so we were scanning the beach with binoculars and I see about 5 miles down from Boulogne towards Dieppe. So they don't even launch them on their own now, they launch them in pairs, which is just taking the fucking piss, and once again goes to show that they know the British government will just pick these people up. There was 15 people in one boat and 1 man in the other one. I expect maybe he wasn't actually coming over. The really weird thing is, I then saw the headlines the next day and there was a front page picture in it of a rig with a number of people in it at Dover, and the picture was identical to the boat that I could see. So the French asked me to look for a boat. I reported it to them that I could see this boat and there was about 10 to 15 people in it, and they said, thank you very much, keep your eyes out. No, why don't you worthless shit weasels come and get it? But after that, we say nothing. Then a couple of hours, we then started to hear on the VHF radio Dover Coast Guard saying that they've tasked the Border Force vessel searcher to intercept this boat, as I said at the beginning and we always knew was going to happen. And then we could see on AIS that the Dover lifeboat had been launched, and then we heard the Dover Coast Guard talking to the Coast Guard helicopter Rescue 163, and it was circling overhead. It's all a hugely disproportionate response. All this could have been prevented by the French had they intercepted them on launch. And I would have to 100% agree with him, but also have to blame Priti Patel for not telling the French that we ain't picking them up no more. Every time you don't pick them up, we are just going to ship them back straight away in a boat. That is something they definitely could do. Mr. Nelson said he had been forced to the reluctant conclusion that the French authorities did not regard it as their problem. No, they don't, because they know we will happily take them off their hands, or at least the border force will. The people of this country certainly won't. And to be honest, the rest of the article just goes over that and what he was doing at the time, which is not really relevant to the story. But it all goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Pretty piss poor Patel really needs to pick this up. Plenty of people in this country actually like her, but she is turning them against her rather quickly. Like I said, of course, the EU kind of ties her hands, but at the end of the day, she could still do more, and January really will be the actual test for this government and how strong they are going to be on things like this. Don't hold your breath for a strong response, let me tell you that.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.